I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to review it.
But no! You people insisted. You just had to keep asking and requesting and demanding that I review this series. Well, fine. You want a review? I'll give you your friggin' review. Ladies and gentlemen and others, welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall and the sheer, raw fail that is Countdown.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara. Coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara. This comic sucks. Linkara.
Now, many of you may be asking what the hell this is, and rightfully so. And like Amazon's attack, a lot of Countdown's stupidity lies in its continuity. And because it features a lot of concepts and characters that non-comic readers are unfamiliar with, let this episode serve as a guide to this abomination. As I've mentioned before, after the DC event Infinite Crisis, it was decided that every title in the line would jump ahead 1 year later to provide mysteries to intrigue people to keep reading, as well as to get people to recover from the events of Infinite Crisis as quickly as possible. I mean, why would we want to see character development when they can just say it happened? At the same time, though, it was decided that a weekly comic would fill in the gap of the missing year, told in real time, with 1 week occurring in the comic for every week it was published. However, while the original purpose of this comic was to fill in the missing gap, it did so by being told from the perspective of a group of secondary characters from across the DC universe. And as the story progressed, it became more about those secondary characters than filling in the missing year. This was 52, and it was awesome. 52 had a lot of things going for it. For one, it was written by 4 different but talented writers who brought unique sensibilities to the table. The mysteries presented in the story were highly compelling, and you ended up caring about all the characters. But wait, what about filling in the missing gap? Yeah, screw Booster Gold saving all of reality, or Ralph Dibny's quest to bring his wife back to life, or Black Adam building a family only to lose it. I want to know why Robin's in a different costume! To try to fill in the gaps, DC published 4 one-shots all on the same day, billed as tie-ins to 52. And you better friggin' believe they were hot sellers. Since 52 was already a financial success, DC had gone ahead with doing another weekly series to build up to their next big event, Final Crisis. However, they decided some changes were in order for this next weekly series, titled Countdown, and later Countdown to Final Crisis. First and foremost, the 4 writers who had done 52, they were gone. But that's okay, since doing a weekly series was an exhaustive process, especially since all 4 contributed something to each issue. Countdown would follow a model where a single writer wrote each issue. Ha ha ha! I'm sure that won't in any way result in the story continuity altering from one issue to the next. Now, for 52, the 4 writers were Jeff Johns, who may have issues when it comes to writing Wonder Woman, but still knows how to build a long, epic story, Mark Waid, who has extensive knowledge of the DC Universe and has some of the best runs both recently and in the past, Grant Morrison, who embraces the lavishly ludicrous parts of comics while still making it compelling, most of the time anyway, and Greg Rucka, a writing veteran of both superheroes and political or crime thrillers. Now, who did they get to write Countdown? First, Sean McKeever, who did a great run on the series Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane. Yeah, he loved her so much he traded life with her for life with his dying aunt to the devil. Yippee! Let's see, what other things did he write? Oh yes, McKeever also wrote that charming story in Teen Titans, where Marvin and Wendy from the Super Friends cartoon got mauled in graphic detail by a demonic wonder dog. Next, there's the writing team of Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti. Alright, they currently write the Power Girl series. What else did they write? Oh yes, Battle for Bloodhaven, another spin-off from Infinite Crisis that I plan to review in the future because of how awful it is. Next, there's Adam Beechin. Well, he was a writer on the Teen Titans animated show, and I liked that. What else did he do? Oh yes, he wrote the story where Cassandra Cain turned evil and refuses to just let someone else fix her! And finally, Tony Bedard. No complaints there, he's a good writer. And they'd all be under a head writer, Paul Dini, creator of the character Harley Quinn and former writer of the Batman animated series. Just goes to show that anyone with talent is still capable of writing garbage. Now, I bash on them, but these people are all talented in their own ways. But at the same time, they're also writing a story that's editorially mandated every step along the way. In fact, in a recent interview with Mark Waid, he said that Dan DiDio, the current editor-in-chief at DC, and I quote, hated what we were doing. Hated 52. Would storm up and down the halls telling everyone how much he hated it. And later said that DiDio proclaimed that Countdown was 52 done right. By that, he means the editors got to control the story, as opposed to, you know, the storytellers. But I keep talking about everything leading up to it, but why is it so bad? I'll get into details in the next few weeks, but it comes down to a couple of factors. For starters, the story was not self-contained. You know those one-shots I mentioned earlier? Since they were billed as tie-ins to 52, they sold like mad. So DC decided that the next weekly series would have lots of tie-ins, be they mini-series or just tie-ins in the DC mainline. So basically, all the continuity problems I mentioned in my Amazon's Attack review, only instead of being just a 6-issue miniseries spread out over 4 months, it's 51 issues over an entire year! So, needless to say, we have plot elements introduced and forgotten, mostly because they're resolved in other books. The other thought process behind this was that instead of moving in real time like 52, it would move at its own pace, but reflect the changing events of the DC Universe. Thus, if we saw two characters getting together in one comic, we'd see it reflected in Countdown, almost like the thing was a living advertisement for everything else going on in the line. Which proved wildly successful! Why read Countdown when you could be reading other better books? Oh, but I kid. Most of the stories it advertised were mediocre at best. But wait, what about the characters of Countdown? Surely we can forgive a crappy comic if at least the characters are interesting. Well, for that we once again look to 52. Among 52's strengths was its use of secondary or quote-unquote B-list characters and gave them a chance to shine. Well, they did the same thing with Countdown, but they didn't exactly have epic character arcs for these people. And now's the time we finally get to look at some of them. First up, Donna Troy. Oh boy, Donna Troy. I've been hinting at this one since all the way back in Titans #1, which, lo and behold, Countdown tie-in, even if it didn't say so. It's difficult to talk to a comic fan about Donna Troy because she's kind of an accident. Remember how I said that back in the Silver Age, writers would make stories about popular superheroes as babies or teenagers? Well, they did the same thing with Wonder Woman. Except with her, they decided to really get into the heavy drugs, since they invented a machine that allowed Wonder Woman to interact with both Wonder Tot and Wonder Girl. At the same time, no less. When writer Bob Haney was looking for characters to appear in the first Teen Titans book, he saw the image of Wonder Girl on that cover and without actually reading the book, just assumed it was Wonder Woman's sidekick. As such, she didn't have an origin story, she was just kind of there. A recurring storyline title as a result is, Who is Wonder Girl? Who is Donna Troy? Etc., etc. It was later explained that as a little girl she was rescued by Wonder Woman from a burning building and was raised on Themyscira before being granted similar powers to her. It was nice, simple, and effective. So, of course, they had to screw it up in every conceivable fashion in order to confuse the readers. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, it was decided that Wonder Woman only just appeared in the world at large, thus she couldn't have been the one to rescue Donna. So it was changed that she was actually rescued by the ancient Greek Titans, given superpowers, and had her memories erased. But then John Byrne decided that he had an even better origin for her. She's actually a magical mirror duplicate of Wonder Woman as a little girl, since there were no other children on Themyscira for Diana to play with. But then she was kidnapped by one of Hippolyta's enemies named Dark Angel, I know, just go with it, and was forced to live several lifetimes, all of them ending in utter tragedy. Until that one where she was taken by the Titans of Myth. But wait! It gets better! You see, recently it was revealed that every one of those other lives she experienced was actually another life from the multiverse that got destroyed thanks to Crisis on Infinite Earths! For the love of writers, stop trying to tell her origins! We don't care anymore! It's severely disappointing that so many writers fixate on the origin. The majority of storylines about her have been about her origin story, but not about where she is now. And in this case, it doesn't matter. She's a motherly, sisterly, caring individual who can deflect bullets with her wrists and is super strong. That's all we need. So stop screwing around with her and let the poor woman just be a superhero. Next up is Jimmy Olsen. He's Superman's pal, and everything that happens to him in Countdown is never spoken of again outside of it. Oh, and he gets a girlfriend who's an anthropomorphized bug. No, I'm not gonna make a furry joke. Get over it, Internet. Some people don't have the same interests as you. Besides, she's a bug, not a furred animal. Next character! Pied Piper and Trickster. Both are Flash villains who at one time reformed their ways, though in the Trickster's case, he was hypnotized or something and became a villain again. Their contribution to the story? Abso-friggin-lutely nothing. Oh sure, Pied Piper plays a role later on, but we'll get to that. Their scenes are completely worthless and don't deserve much attention. Then there's Jason Todd, who I've already talked about in my top 15 worst heroes becoming villains. Paul Dini thought he had been really underutilized and tried to make him into an anti-hero for Countdown. Instead, he just ends up as annoying as all the other characters. So let's talk about the one who's supposed to be an important plot point in Countdown. Ray Palmer, the Atom. Or, as I like to call him, the Mini MacGuffin. The Atom was a scientist who used a piece of white dwarf star matter to enable him to shrink. In 2004, a miniseries called Identity Crisis came out, where it was revealed that his longtime girlfriend, Jean Loring, murdered Sue Dibney, wife of the Elongated Man. In the conclusion, he was so distraught about the whole affair that he shrunk down smaller than he ever had before and wasn't seen again until this comic. Jean Loring went on to become Eclipso, who we'll also see here. I'm still pondering an Identity Crisis review because that piece of crap really deserves a once-over. Okay, who else do we have? Oh, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern and accidental killer of women. Next! Mary Marvel. I went over her deal in that top 15. Next! Holly Robinson, a supporting character from Catwoman, and I don't know anything about her. Next! Karate Kid and Triplicate Girl. Characters from the Legion of Superheroes, and I could do a whole video about the continuity messes of that team. We'll get into them more in the actual review. Next! Harley Quinn. All you need to know about her is in the Batman animated series, and she's the only saving grace in this whole mess. That brings us to the Monitors. What a great idea that totally went to crap. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, there was this one character called the Monitor, one of the first life forms in the universe and very powerful. He sacrificed his life in the original Crisis and it was a good story. Now, I admit, when we first saw hints of the Monitor not only being alive again, but there being more than one of him, I was excited as all hell. But, as we'll see, they really don't contribute much to this series. In fact, most of their scenes in Countdown can basically be summed up like this. We should do something! Should we do something? We should do something! Should we do something? I'm changing! We should do something! Bang! We should do something! Should we do something? We should do something! Should we do something? Yes! You should do something, you boring idiots! And finally, that brings us to the New Gods. Okay, explaining the New Gods. Well, it starts like this. There came a time... You know what? This isn't epic enough. Excuse me. There came a time when the old gods died! That, my friends, is an epic for our times. Created by the legendary Jack Kirby, the old gods were the ancients, your Norse mythology, your Gog and Magog, that kind of stuff, also referred to as the Third World. There was a cataclysmic war that resulted in the end of the old gods and the birth of the new gods, inhabiting twin planets New Genesis and Apocalypse. New Genesis is idyllic, peaceful, and good. Apocalypse is basically New Jersey. Apocalypse is ruled by the despotic being called Darkseid. His ultimate ambition is to take over all existence through something called the anti-life equation, supposedly a force that would subject all beings to his will. Huh, who knew that mathematics would bring about the end of the world? So, there you have it. A brief exploration of the elements leading up to Countdown. Now, I'm not going to do a training montage like I did for Amazon's Attack. Why? Well, because I think I'm doomed. 51 issues in one go? There's no way in hell I can survive this. So, in the meantime, live, drink, and be merry, for next week, Countdown begins!
Where do their comics go to burn? Where do they go to get around?